Can you mention some of the journals that are fundamental to the chiropractic profession or that a student who's interested in exploring the research should begin with, and then maybe branch out to in regards to the network of different journals that exist, and then also what the Foundation for Vertebral Subluxation is doing in regards to research? What's the research agenda? What are some of the different um, topics within the realm of vertebral subluxation research that's being explored?
Sure. So of course, all of the McCoy Press journals are near and dear to my heart. Dr. Matt McCoy has been one of my mentors for all of my years in chiropractic. He is actually my first research mentor when I started school, and I've been working with him. He's the vice president of the foundation, along with Dr. Chris Kent. And so the McCoy Press journals are very much specifically rooted in chiropractic, and they're a great resource. A lot of you who are students in chiropractic colleges, your university might have a subscription to the journals, so you don't have to necessarily get your own yet. Anything indexed in the Index to Chiropractic Literature is a great starting place to do your search, and that's going to include those McCoy Press journals. Then there's some stuff out there in PubMed as well. For our general high school and undergrad students, you're probably a little more familiar with searching in PubMed for different classes. And then just generally on the internet, I mean, you all know how to kind of vet a source as being reliable if it's, published and coming from a university or an organization like the foundation versus just like somebody's Facebook post. So always try to find like those credible sources, but consume as much as you can, because whether it's reading, networking, whatever it might be, even friendships, you're going to learn things that you want to do. You're going to learn things that you don't want to do. You're going to learn things that you realize bring a lot of value to your life. And you're going to realize some things that you know to avoid in the future. And
Mhm.
so I would encourage you to look at the McCoy Press and the Index of Chiropractic Literature, also in PubMed, and look at everything with a critical eye.
Mhm.
As far as the foundation, you can visit our website. It's vertebralsubluxation.org, O-R-G, and there we've got updates on our latest research projects. So we have two big projects that are kind of ongoing, as well as some other smaller ongoing projects. So just speak to two that I've been directly involved with in more recent times. So one is the Guidelines Project. So that's a really exciting, like huge, huge project that could not have been done without support of the profession, the work of students, as well as the great team that we have in the foundation. And we've been working on practice guidelines for the chiropractic profession. So every profession has to have like some form of evidence-based guidelines. So what does the research say? What we do, how to do it, when to do it, how to do it a little bit better. And we're working on compiling all of the past decade or so of research and putting it into a 12-chapter document. And so that's been a long journey. And along the way, we've come to realize, like you just asked, where do chiropractors go for this type of information? Because we're going to have one neat document, but someone might say, like, well, I'd really like to see reference 54. Where do I go to find it? So we're also working on building a repository that's going to give people access to all of those individual articles. So the piece or the chapter that really interests you, you can dive more deeply into. That's been really exciting for like the first round of that project. I had been working as the project manager. Dr. Anquinette Stiles, who works with us as a research fellow, has since taken over that role. Over the past about 2 years, in lieu of that, I began working on my master's in public health. So I finished my second master's last year. I defended my thesis virtually during the pandemic. And that was really exciting because it's given me a window into exploring how chiropractic fits into public health. And that's really my primary interest of this idea of health for communities, making our world healthier, making sure that people are not only living longer but better lives is really the premise of what we talk about as the chiropractic lifestyle. And it's also what's discussed in the context of public health outside of like kind of the times that we're living in right now, for example, during this infectious disease pandemic. So there has to be a crossroads between chiropractic and public health. and working on figuring out how to mesh that together into the research literature is really my primary passion at this time.
Hmm.
So I just recently, like I said, finished my MPH last year and I defended my thesis. So we're working on publishing that document, which is sort of like what I've been referring to as a step zero for chiropractic, because I have the opportunity to speak to a lot of chiropractors and I have big audience people and I say, how many people do you think need chiropractic care? And we say everyone. And I'm not disagreeing, but as far as the research goes, like, are you sure? Like, do we know? Or are we just thinking this? And so our research is focused on what's called the epidemiology of chiropractic, or establishing the fact that the need for chiropractic care, the presence of vertebral subluxation, is in fact an epidemic, that it's very, very common in the general population. And establishing that numerically is going to help us establish a public health need for chiropractic.